Ryotin CCG here, bringing you an updated deck profile that I did first time but forgot to upload, but it's too late now. But we have Lord Krung. So again, Lord Krung has been doing damage throughout the Philippines and even won an awakening here in Columbus. So I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and upgrade the deck that I had and share with everyone and kind of show you what's kind of going in my head. So again, this is an early build. If you're a Krung player, let me know in the comment section down below if you like it, if maybe missed something, or maybe I just don't understand Krung. Before I do, let's get into the deck profile. So we have Lord Krung. It is a 20 health contender, 0-1 stats, and then whenever a discarded clash card you control entered from play from anywhere, you get to draw a card. And then its 12th skill is you can engage this card and then pick a discarded card and give it Torment. Torment means that the opposing player has to obstruct with 2 or more cards to actually block it. If they have only 1 card out, it can't be blocked, essentially. So for the deck, we're starting off with running 3 copies of Gur, Savage Aggressor. Gur is one of those cards I always feel like it's a Yu-Gi-Oh term, but it's called a starter card. So a card that you kind of want to start with. So Gur is a 1 cost, 2/1. It has Ambush, which means it can be activated from the accessory zone from face down. And the portal is open. You play this for free. It's a really great starter. Even if you're not, being portal controlled, it's still a good card to play for 1. It's a 2/1 cost. Again, you can swing into things and have it die, but they'll massive damage early on. Next up, we have probably one of the MVPs of the deck, which is Trug, Unusual Assistant. He is definitely unusual. We run 4 copies of it. It is a 1 cost 0/1. And you can pitch it from your hand and give a discarded card +1/+1. And at the start of your turn, you can activate the portal. This comes in very handy if your opponent is closing the portal out on their turn. At the start of your turn, you can basically banish it and then activate that portal and continue with your plays. Yet, unfortunately, it does not activate during your opponent's turn, so again, they do close it. A lot of your ambush cards will become useless, but that's why we kind of constructed the deck to kind of play around those heavy portal control decks. Next, we have everyone's favorite, the 1-drop Lyn. It is a 1 cost 2/2. I said it before, I will keep saying it. This is probably one of the best cards in Alpha Clash right now. I see this card making its way to many decks, especially in black. And fair enough, this is the only blue card we actually run in the entire deck. So it is a 1 cost trigger enter. You put a binding counter on a card. If a card with binding counter is destroyed, at end of turn, you can bring a card that costs 2 or less from either Player's Oblivion right into play. It is really good with getting, your Krungs back or stealing Havens, things like that to draw cards. It's very, very good. And so, again, it is mainly used here for those things as a little cheeky combo that we do. And it also just helps control the board. Again, it makes your opponent second guess about swinging with small cards in the beginning, because you can drop this down, swing into it, get rid of it, and then get it back. Then we run MVP of the deck, 4 copies of Lord Krung. Lord Krung is a 2 cost 2/2, and it has Neurotic. And then other discarded cards get +1/+1, so it does not count for itself. But if you do have multiple out, then they'll kind of start to stack that way. But then this card, again, it just allows you to remove almost any threat in the game. As long as it deals some type of damage to that card, it will destroy it with its Neurotic ability. Again, this card is another card that's very, very popular right now, and a card that I do see going up in price, especially these Origin promos, because they were definitely very limited this time around. So again, I do see Krung, this general, just kind of staying around in any deck. If you can splash black into it, you pretty much will find a way to play Krung. And again, I said before, you can use Lyn to bring Krung back. Then, for my little tech pieces in a deck, I do run 4 copies of Moxy Alpha Hunting Specialist. You may wonder, okay, hey, why are you running the card? Where's the value? The value is more of setting up. So again, I know a lot of people, they are playing Alpha Clash, they're saying, hey, what value do you get from it? I believe in my decks for setup, for future turns. So Moxy Specialist, it has the trigger enter skill where you reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. If you find an Edwards or a Weber, you can play it for free. But I'm more looking to use this card to filter out my deck to send cards to my Oblivion so I can use later. And the cool thing about this card, it being a 3-1, if you're having trouble against that new Machina deck, it can actually swing into Machina for 3, deal a lot of damage, and then destroy itself and kind of leave you an open board so your opponent can't take advantage of you just leaving cards out. And I do like that play style with it where, again, if somebody has Denver out, now it's a 4-1. So there's ways to keep interacting with this card, and again, it just allows me to get cards that I need in my Oblivion that I want to bring back there a lot quicker. Next up, we have 4 copies of Morac the Devourer. This is our searcher for the deck. It has a 3 cost. It has ambush ability as well. And if it is in an ambush state, you can counterattack. Pay 1 if the portal is open, pay 2 if the portal is closed. And then you can bring, when this card enters play, you can search your deck for a card that costs 3 or less. So again, a lot of our cards are, actually every single card in this deck is 3 or less. So it can be searched out with Morac. So if you need a specialist for your next turn, so say if you, perfect world, you get the portal open and your opponent goes to attack, you pay the 1, search out a specialist, get your engine going that way. You can search out a Krung if you want to get more power. Search out a Lyn if you can do a nice Lyn play. And a Turek if you want to get more power. Or Gur if you just want to attack some things. So again, it searches out any card, any class card on our deck, this card will search out. And also when it attacks an alpha, it deals double damage. So instead of it dealing just 2, it will deal 4 damage to those alphas. Then we have 4 copies of Rizlag, the Devirus Servant. Again, this is another start card and also another setup card as well. It's 2-in-1, which I love those packages in the game, where you can pitch this card from your hand, activate the portal. And also, if it's in your Oblivion, you can play 2 to bring it back to the field. But when it leaves field, it does get banished. But it procs Krung's skill to draw a card. Late game, you're not really drawing anything that you want anymore. You can bring this up, get an extra damage in. It costs 2 to play instead of 3. And it's a card that's always active as long as it's in your hand or it is discarded. So it's unlike the ambush cards where if the portal is always closed, where Gur is kind of trapped. This card plays around right. Morac can play around with it. And again, it's the only card I feel like it actually ever gets trapped. They can get trapped in your search zone will be Gur. And that's why I keep that card at a very, very low play. Because I want to be able to make sure that every turn I'm able to play something from somewhere. Keep proccing Krung's skill to draw. Moving on to our action cards. We only run 4 actions, which is, of course, Restoration. It is the black buff, +1/+1 or something, and you can bring back a card that costs 1 or less. Really good skill that I love to do is if I'm attacking into something with Lord Krung, and I activate Restoration, bring out Lyn, put the bounty counter on it, and then trigger the Lyn skill. It works very, very well because at that point, a lot of times the opponent is not going to buff, or they're not thinking to buff, or even if they do buff against the Krung, it won't do anything unless they're playing heat of battle. And it'll just allow you to easily proc Lyn's skill. Again, that's also why we run Specialist, that way you can get Lyn's into the discard pile so we can use Restoration to bring them back. Or you can use Restoration to bring things back like Pestilence, -2/-2 for something. This card is so versatile in black right now. And there's so many good cards that you can just recur back and use their skills again. So that's what we're running this buff for Krung. On to our accessories. We run 3 copies of Sharpshooter. 4th copy will definitely be in the sideboard. I don't have my sideboard on me now. But Sharpshooter, pretty much know what it does. If a opponent plays a card that costs 2 or less, you send it to Oblivion. And then another tech piece we do run is 2 copies of Frag Grenade. Frag Grenade is a new type of weapon that can attach to your opponent. So what you do, you attach it to a card, you swing with it, and you can take this Frag Grenade and put it onto another card. This card works up very, very well against other Krung decks or even Lyn decks. So to try to swing with their Krung, you can literally just blow it up and deal 3 damage to it, or deal 3 damage to their contender. It allows you to keep very effective, low-cost, low-defense cards in check. Again, putting this on a Tyrant is really, really good, even though Tyrant can blow it up. But again, as you know, it can't, because when it comes in, it's pretty much there unless they play another Tyrant. And also, it works very, very well. I know a lot of people are not playing right now the 5-cost Magnate, because even though it has Undisputed, can be defeated in Clash, I can still blow it up because it triggers as soon as they attack. So again, Frag Grenade at 2 is working really, really well in the deck. I say everybody try it out. Then we run 4 copies of Lava Blitz. Lava Blitz allows us to discard our hand and draw 5 new cards, and the portal's open. And it costs 1 more for each card in your hand. But again, we are draining our hand down enough so when we finally do play a Lava Blitz, we pretty much have 0 cards in hand, and we're going to draw back up to 5. And we're resourcing enough and resourcing smartly where we're able to continue our play after playing this 3. So 4 copies of Lava Blitz. Then we have 3 copies of Swarm of Monsters. This is Black's Deliverance, especially if you have a discarded contender. Counterplay, you send whatever they want, you send whatever they play to Oblivion, and your opponent can't play Clash buffs. Again, it's just a really good trap card. I'd say it's Deliverance before they can even do anything. And then we have 4 copies of Undiscovered Passageway. This is a 2-cost Clash ground. 4 discarded cards. Trigger, you activate the portal, and then your opponent is forced to pay 1 additional resource to activate the portal. So again, it will make it where they have to pay 3 instead of 2. And at the beginning of the turn, the portal is open. You can bring back a 2 or less discarded card. And that's why I say it works really well with Trug, because you can chain the events for it, where you can banish one, activate the portal, and then activate Underworld Passageway, bring back a Krung, draw a card, and continue your plays. And last but not least, the card that I do run, and it's really crazy, this is my only counter for the current meta with Machina. It is Remote Cave. Remote Cave is a 3-cost Clash ground, and when it enters, it gives all your discarded cards basically +2 for the turn, and then it makes all alphas and rogues -2, so it makes almost all the cards in their deck they can't really hit anything anymore because they're so reduced down, and then they're in a point of where a Clash buff can destroy them, and then again, you're bringing things back like your lanes, you're bringing things back in your Krung where you don't care about their power anymore. So this is the only card I am running to counter the meta, and I believe this deck is just very solid on its own, but I do say you still have to, plan for the meta, and right now, unfortunately, Machina is the meta. So again, Remote Cave in a discarded deck is probably one of the best cards to go with, and it's also an amazing finisher. Like, if you're popping your board off and you drop a Remote Cave out, and say you have 2 Krungs out, you bring some Red Sox back, so now they're pretty much swinging for an additional 6 damage, which is very, very hard to block, especially at that late in the game. So again, Remote Cave is really good. But that is the deck profile. Let me know again down the section below if you play Krung, if you want to play Krung, you have any suggestions on how this deck is done. And if you're part of the Patreon, we actually have a video going up for Patreon members that shows how to play the deck and then some of the combos that this deck can pull off. And as well, look out for later on, either today or tomorrow, for some gameplay footage when this deck takes on Magnate 2.0. Till next time, this has been Ryotin.
I step into the ring, ready for the fight. With a hunger in my eyes, I'm taking flight. I walk with confidence, I wear the crown. Ain't no one gonna knock me down. I'm the Alpha, the king.